Good morning, YouTubers. This is the morning I'm making up some more water kefir. And I'm just putting in here a bit of homemade mineral water and half a cup of brown sugar. What I'm going to do is melt that. That's the sugar base, or at least the more of a syrup for the water kefir. So this is the first step. And then over here I've got a few bottles that I've been sterilizing with boiling water for about 10 minutes. So let that go for about a good 10 minutes. And they're hot. So you just empty that. They've been washed out prior, and then when I take them out of storage, I just give them a little boiling hot water bath. So anyways, these bottles are going to cool down, and then I'm going to dump the previous batch in there, previous batch of water kefir. So what I also have here is these are the jars that I'm going to put the new sugar syrup, or at least the sugar base in. And I recently picked up this. It's a stainless steel strainer. It's they say normally you should use plastic or stainless steel only. Don't use some sort of aluminum or other mesh type of material, because you might have a bit of reaction between the kefir grains and the metal. So I'm going to let that cool down, and I'm going to let this melt away. It's starting to, you don't need it to be super boiling hot. You can see it's already starting to, bubble a bit at the bottom, and that's all you really need, is just let it get a little bit warm, just warm enough to melt the sugar, and then I'll let that, give it a good stir, let it cool down a bit, and then I'll dump that into the big empty jars, top off the, say up to the neck with cool mineral water, and then dump the grains in there. So here's the pouring some of the juice between the two jars, kind of even it out. Although they are different sized jars, I try to get the same level inside. And if you are going to be making some of this here, that's even enough. If you are going to be making some of this, you'll notice that the grains do grow, they multiply. So when you start off with a little batch, you'll soon know that, or notice that you've got quite a bit. And that's about a good level. Basically, you don't want to go too high, because once you throw some grains in there, that's about right. When you start putting the grains in there, you'll see that it climbs up into, getting into the neck. This is the previous batch, and it lightens up a little bit. So there's more golden, and what happens is that the You know, the grains consume some of that sugar in there. And you'll see that the carbonation bubbles. As those little guys process the sugar. So what I'll do now is decant these into the bottles and then show you those next steps. So this is the first little jar that was emptied out. You can see these are the grains that are caught up in the strainer. They're almost like a translucent, a little bit of an amber color to them, and that's because they've been in molasses in the past and brown sugar, so I never use, straight refined sugar. So anyways, that's the first part of it, and then I'm going to decant the larger jar. But before that, I'm going to dump some of these grains into the new bath to get them going. So the last part here is, this is the second batch. I've already dumped out some of the grains into the 2 jars. And now what I'm going to do is just harvest some of these. So this is all like extra. It's almost like a bit of a snowball effect that they just keep on growing. So these I will share with other people that want to give it a go. And they're actually like little jelly balls. They're very, I guess, gelatinous, you can say. And some people, they even take these and they put them into into smoothies. Smoothies or juice, and you can eat these. This is like as probiotic as it gets. There's that. What I'll do is I'll add a bit of sugar water into this just to keep them alive, and they need something to feed on. If there's no food, of course they'll die. They won't just go into hibernation, but so what you do is you add sugar water and then you put them in the fridge, so the heat, or the lack of heat, really slows them down, but they also have food there so that they can sustain for about a week or so. That's it. So there's a couple of things you can do also to finish off your brewing here. One thing I like to do is with the new bath is, I've got the grains at the bottom, put in a slice of lemon, and actually what you can do is squeeze out a bit of that juice. And the funny thing actually is that when you're adding in lemon, you think that lemon is an acidic juice, but what it actually does is it makes the drink more alkaline. So just squeeze out a bit of there and then just pop that in. Then what you can do also for flavoring, these all cover up now. Hold on. And here what I did is I just took margarine containers, the lids, and I just made a plastic gasket like that. You leave it open a little bit just to let if there's the buildup of carbonation inside, that nothing explodes on you. And the other thing that you can do also is, if you want this to taste a little bit more like a cream soda, what you can do is add pure vanilla extract in there, and you only need a couple of drops. So I'll do just a few. Just a little splash in there. Minimal amount. You don't want it to be overpowering. You just want it to have a little bit of that cream soda flavor. And then what I'll do is close these guys up. Give them a bit of a stir. And then they're ready to sit for, usually it's 2 days. Each batch takes 2 days to make, to brew. Like this will sit for 2 days. And then at the same time what I'll do is I'll have the bottles, like you see here in the background. These did these 2 days ago, so they've been sitting there. And those are just plain. These now have the flavor in them for the vanilla. And that's it. It takes about maybe 45 minutes every 2 days to go through that whole process. And the sterilizing the bottles is probably the longest, because you have to heat up. You're boiling the water, putting boiling water in here. You want to let the bottles cool down after you've let them sit for 10 minutes, so you're not putting in the kefir water, and organisms all get killed off by the heat. So you want to let that cool down. So there's a certain amount of waiting, but all in all, it's about 45 minutes to prepare that. Enjoy!